Okay, it is 6 o'clock. We'll call the council meeting to order. All please rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening.
We'll call the council, please.
Smith,
Here.
Rose,
Here.
Burbank, here, Green,
Here.
Arstano,
Here.
Anderson, here, Sunstrom. Yes.
Here.
Yep, he's here.
Oh, you got it. Okay. I heard it real faint. Okay, good. Good to see you up there, Marvin. Let's see. Do we have any additions, corrections, or deletions to the agenda this evening? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion carries.
Public comment. I know we have two folks signed up. Would you guys prefer to go at the beginning or the end or both? Or I know, okay, sure. Carolyn, please.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Carolyn Robertson here on behalf of Hosford Construction on consent agenda item number 1. First of all, I want to thank the Mayor and Council for bringing this planning services contract up for consideration. It's a positive step in the right direction and hopefully will alleviate many business owners' frustrations. This planning support, in addition to the senior planner position recently approved by the council, should significantly improve the time it takes to process permits. It should also assist those of us reaching out to potential businesses in the area who have shared concerns to be able to reassure them that the city has heard their concerns and is moving forward to improve its permitting processes. This is good news for the city. This is jobs and revenue that we're looking for. It should also assist the city with its $700 revenue shortfall for 2024 and those projected for the next 6 years. I say should because we need our city council to do their part. We need you to provide oversight. This is an important economic engine that the planning and building department oversees for our community. Please ask for updates routinely from staff. Ask about the number of permits that are getting submitted. Ask about how many have been approved and the results of that. Ask them to demonstrate that making these changes are reducing the delays that we have here in the community. Thank you, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks, Carolyn. Mrs. Bergerson.
This seems shorter
You
tonight
can
than it was.
swivel it down.
Denise Bergerson, 228 Collins Court, Buckley. This is just a real quick, I just wanted to thank the city for the shred event that we got to participate in. And I know that my little home shredder kind of gets burned up when I start shredding. So it was really nice to take 3 big bags. It would have taken me probably 3 days to do that at home. So I want to thank the city for that. And then also for the cleanup, the citywide cleanup, we were able to get rid of an old hot water tank. So it won't be sitting in our yard for any of you to look at. So just wanted to give a good thank you to everybody for that.
Okay, thanks,
Thank
Denise.
you.
Thank you.
Oh, all right, come on up.
This is from Amy.
Oh.
We 1,300 square feet of the park was worked, 17 volunteers showed up. We were there for about 34 hours. We had historic walk from the park down to Scoops. We had the foothills, rails to trails, Scoops, and the city of Buckley was there. We had supporters, was Burbank Landscape, 5 yards delivered. Lake Taps Rhododendron Garden, now located in Buckley. They give us advice and everything went fine.
Super. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, it looked good. I saw the city pickup out there with bark on it.
Well, no, that was junk.
Oh, that was all the garbage.
Yeah, 2 loads of garbage.
Okay, good. Okay, anybody else in the audience like to speak and under citizen participation? We'll have it again at the end of the council meeting. Okay. All right, committee reports. I'll just read this. I didn't have a chance to read all the way through it, but this is a great attaboy we got from the State Department of Ecology. Looks like it came in here.
Today.
Yeah, today. Dated a few days ago, but yeah, this is to our wastewater treatment staff. Congratulations, the Buckley wastewater treatment plant is receiving the 2022 wastewater treatment plant outstanding performance award of approximately 300 water treatment plants statewide. Yours is one of 109 that achieved the top performance for its operations in 2022. Ecology evaluates specific domestic wastewater treatment plant information for individual permit compliance. Your plant is one, excuse me, your plant is one of the top performers for regularly meeting numeric effluent limits and individual permit criteria, for conducting monitoring and for reporting data as required. It takes diligent operators and a strong management team working effectively together to achieve this high level of performance. And there's a little bit more, but we'll hear more on this later. We'll hopefully get Mr. Doty up here and his team of 2 others, so 3 total up here for a performance award. So that's great. Great news for one of our teams. It's great. So I think that's all I have. If anybody knows Mike Cavelti, he retired today. Just a owner operator guy. If he's been around a long time, he's probably been hauling logs for 50 years, and his dad before him. So he hung it up today. So I just happened to talk to him yesterday. If you know him, if you see him, tell him congratulations. I think that's all I have. Let's see, transportation and utilities.
Transportation and Utilities met today at 4 o'clock. We discussed the Hinkleman Road project. Bid opening is on, I think my handwriting's bad, but 5/11 at 2 p.m. We added Division Street overlay as a separate schedule, wanted to wait until after construction. Bid awards expected 5/23. We talked about the Beverly Street project update. The city staff and Pangeo will be digging test pits on Thursday. And then the water treatment plant, additional caustic soda injection point. Dom's working up a drawing in the next couple of weeks. We're thinking that the city staff may be able to do the project ourselves. The NPDES annual report was submitted to DOE on time. We're working on the annual cross connection report that's due May 1st. Should be done by the end of the week. DSHS and city staff cleaning the sand filter. Meter reader recruitment update. We've had 12 applications and we're going to go through them. And then the water treatment plant operator that he just talked about.
For wastewater.
Yeah, that was
Okay.
what we had for the wastewater, what you just touched on.
Yep, okay, super. All right, thank you. We did not have finance, admin, and public safety. I don't see it on here. Okay. Council member comments and good of the order. Brandon.
PCRC update, and I got pages because it was an ambitious agenda, and my handwriting is also not great, so forgive me as I scroll through my notes. So we had a pretty good agenda on April 20th. We had a presentation from Executive Dameyer and one from Sheriff Troyer with some updates on what's going on around the county, and then also in regards to law enforcement and corrections. So some of the things that are going on, and I'll move this closer so Marv can hear. So homelessness is still an issue and still a focus of the county. They're investing in additional shelter services and also aiming to get tougher on illegal camping throughout the county. They're looking at funding a village, they call it. It's like a tiny home village but it's with the understanding that the folks who are there want to get back on their feet, so they would be getting a job and paying rent for their home there. And so, yeah, so it's a way to get people out of that, that trouble they're in, and get it back up on their feet. I think it was last year I reported out, Sheriff Troyer mentioned with just all the craziness that's happened at the correction facilities and the trouble they're having recruiting for corrections and sheriff deputies. And so he provided an update on that. So Sheriff Troyer came out, and the deputy hiring is looking good. It's trending upward anyway. Last time he spoke with us, we were down 45 deputies. Now we're down 32. So they've hired a few, but there's 10 to 12 that are in academy right now. So that's an additional number that would be, taking that 32 down further. And they're also looking to hire 5 or 6 more. Still struggling on the corrections hiring. It's a tough job, and it's equally tough to find folks who want to do that job. So I guess the news flash here is, if you know anybody that wants to be a deputy or a corrections officer, now's the time to go apply. They're looking for people and they need them bad. So right now they're treating the corrections facility as being max occupancy until they can hire more staff, and then they can open up more pods and better serve the community. Car theft is still a huge issue. They've been seeing 800 to 900 car thefts a month. It's astronomical, unprecedented. And they also threw in that there's no legislation that came out of the legislative session this year that's going to help with that problem. So we'll have to keep on our legislators to move that needle. There is some good news though. They put together, I believe it was last year, a top 100 fugitive list, and they've recovered 50% of the people on that list. And so they're looking at doing that again, and they'll release that later. They don't want to release that too soon because then the fugitives know they're on the list. So yeah, maybe we'll hear more about that after they've caught everybody. And they're also looking at a new precinct somewhere in East Pierce, so it's a benefit to this area. We heard a presentation from the Well-Found Behavioral Health Facility in Tacoma. This is a newer, growing facility that's dedicated to mental health care. Their big takeaway was that they'd like to see more drop-offs from EMS and fire departments. They're not seeing as many as they were hoping for, and they have space available at their facility. Housing and population targets. So this is a fun one. Emily, you'll be hearing about this if you haven't already. Okay. Yeah. So Pierce County presented. If you recall, last year we set growth and population targets. No, I think Councilmember Smith, you were on that committee and put in a tremendous amount of work to get us to where we needed to be. And that was passed. PCRC voted it through, then the county voted it through, so that set in stone. But then the Department of Commerce of Washington State decided to create a new tool called the HAPT tool. And don't ask me what it stands for. And so the numbers had to go through this HAP tool, and it kind of just blew those numbers out of the water. They were significantly higher, looking at 50,000 units higher for the county than what was previously planned for. And so the county went back to the Department of Commerce to, say what the heck is going on, and challenge their methodology. They came up to a compromise that was able to lower the number down to 3,700 additional units for the county, but this allocation also screwed with the percentage of growth that was allocated to the jurisdictions. And so we're seeing a reduction of 100 units in Buckley, approximately 100 units, and the county is seeing a significant increase of, I didn't write the number down. It was like a few thousand units in the county area. So next month, there'll be a vote at the PCRC. The recommendation is to re-adopt the housing targets based on the compromise number. And so I've requested to get the slides that we were presented to over to the staff and over to you, Mayor, so we could take a look at that and discuss it for the next PCRC meeting. There's also, I wouldn't call it a presentation, but a brief blurb by a member of the PSRC, the Puget Sound Regional Council, that they have some additional safety grant funding that's available. It was supposed to be just for Pierce County, I believe, but they have extra left over. They wanted to talk to jurisdictions and seeing how that can be allocated. So I sent him an email today to get some more information on what the qualifications are and what it needs to be dedicated for, and just see if that's something that we can benefit from. Additional PCRC stuff. You may remember a few PCRC reports ago, I reported that some of Senator Murray's staff came out and were wanting to talk to jurisdictions about the priorities and projects and seeing where they can align. And so I shot them an email, made a connection with yourself and city administrator. And it sounds like there's a meeting to talk to them. Was that next week?
May 2nd.
May 2nd. Okay. So May 2nd to see where we can, work with the senator and her people and maybe get some funding or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, never hurts to ask.
No, thank you for all the hard work, because we have that phone meeting on Tuesday to talk about, I think mostly 410. But yeah, no, that's great work. You get the connections made, and at least they can see where we're at. So super. Thank you. All right. Any other men?
Is Director Snodgrass here? No.
I didn't think so.
Okay, so then my question would be for you, just out and taking my dogs for walks out around the parks. My wondering is just how many people do we currently have that are working for the parks in upkeep?
2.
So there's no, is seasonal, there's no.
Not yet. Our
Okay.
seasonals will be onboarded, but we
Okay.
haven't hired yet.
Okay,
We have 2 full-time employees for parks maintenance.
okay. I've just noticed kind of I don't know, there's just a lot more weeds than normal and things like
Mhm.
that when I'm taking my dogs for walks. So I was just wondering, 2 full-time, okay. That's it.
They're gonna really take off. The weeds are gonna take off this week. It's gonna get crazy.
Yeah.
The sun's
Director-
coming. We've got all the water now.
Director Snodgrass is working to find ways to better do weed management. A lot of the parks, I don't think, had all of everything put in place in order to prevent the weeds from creeping through.
Okay,
And we're trying to find ways that we can ensure that the maintenance we do lasts longer than having them continue to pop up.
Okay.
Okay.
thank you.
I know there's been an idea floated around for the last year or so on local families or whatnot adopting flower beds or sections of the park
Mm.
to, they can put up their little name or whatnot. And this is, that might help city staff, more volunteer stuff, of course, but just another idea. Ron?
So in my conversations with some children between the ages of 11 and 14 during the day, a common theme that has come up is they don't feel safe at the skate park. And I understand the staffing levels of Buckley PD. I understand the priority of dispatch calls and whatnot, but maybe we could get a little bit more attention on the skate park. We had our meeting, transportation utilities this afternoon over right across the street. When I pulled in, I kind of looked and I think I kind of saw what maybe some of the concerns are. You have young people there, and then you have some young adults that come in cars, and there's other things that come with those cars. That's one thing. Next thing, and this piggybacks on what Councilmember Burbank said. I remember back in the day when a woman named Linda Brevik worked for the city, and she took care of the maintenance on Vanderhoof Park. This is not a dig at city staff. We do what we can. The most important things are done first, but those flower beds look horrendous. And like you said, Mayor, that families would adopt. I was thinking in my head the other day, maybe I should just go and start digging weeds out of one of these beds. But it used to look better, and it can look the way it used to again. And the last thing I like to say is, as the chair of the Admin, Finance, and Public Safety Committee, my hat is off to Buckley Fire and Buckley PD for something that does not happen much in this town. But we had a domestic violence assault that happened that took a mutual aid response, but I've been assured by the police chief that all the investigative stuff has been done by our own officers and how they handle that. And the person has been charged in a short amount of time. That is no easy task when you're talking about a serious Class A felony to get that person charged with a crime. That's very impressive. My hat is off to the police department and the fire department. They have to show up to do their aid stuff. That is all.
Perfect. Yeah, that's a situation luckily we don't see very often. I think the last one, at least on the book face, they talked about the white horse, the last shooting we had, last big shooting anyway. Yeah, they did a phenomenal job. Everything is moving through its process. So thank you for that. Anybody else? I do want to, I want to touch anybody else here. Council member Sundstrom, I know that we've got a little bit of a time delay, so I want to make sure we get you if you have anything you'd like to throw in there. Okay. All right. Okay. Consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor? All opposed?
Motion carries.
All right, staff reports. Public safety update and Chief Alfano. Oh, there's three of you.
Yeah.
I've got on here.
Oh,
I think, and oh yeah, here. We have, or are you all going one at a time?
Yeah, we're all gonna go one at a time.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
We're gonna change it up a little bit.
Okay.
And our public safety report now are gonna be quarterly. So, and we can kind of coordinate with all three of us to give you a full scale update on everything. Everybody can hear me all right? Okay, Marvin probably can. Okay, so I sent out my public safety report. You guys all got it. Stats are pretty much what they are. I'm gonna kind of update some of the calls I highlighted in here. I'm gonna kind of update with some legislative updates. So as we know, the 2023 legislative update or legislation closed down here on Sunday, so it's now done. There was some things in favor for law enforcement, but there's still some things that we need some improvement on. One of the big things that we're seeing, if everyone remembers the Blake decision, which was the drug possession law.
It's not my dope.
It's not my pants. That's how we refer to it. Anyways, so it rendered possession of a narcotic. Basically, we couldn't do anything with it. We have to refer and then we can confiscate the narcotic, but pretty much not charging anybody for the crime. Now, so that took effect back in 2021. It is set to sunset. The law is going to sunset on July 1st of this year. So they were hopeful in legislation that there would be new legislation to kind of repeal the Blake decision because this law is going to sunset. That didn't occur. There was a bill passed or a bill passed out of the Senate that was approved by WASPC, which is the Washington State Sheriff and Police Chiefs Association. We approved that, but then it got to the House and they started changing a bunch of things on it. And there was some things that were going to be very unfavorable to municipalities that have basically passed the laws that you all passed back in December or back in March of making those ones basically null and void too. So luckily it got shot down in the House, it got voted out. And so, but with the law setting to sunset now, there's three options. Basically what could happen, essentially what is expected to happen is that the governor's not very happy with the legislation not approving something with the law expected to sunset. So they expect the governor to call a special session and have legislation come out of that and maybe get some sort of resolution on the law. Right now, our current our current BMC, our current code that we passed is still good. We're still operating under the Blake decision as it goes with possession. However, we can arrest and we will arrest if we see people using in public or narcotics or destroying or putting drug paraphernalia on the streets and stuff like that. So we're still there. Hopefully something will get done. But that was a big thing. There's really nothing to be done with that. The other thing, the other big one was the pursuit law. There was a pursuit law that was passed. They did repeal part of it. So basically they changed from, remember, probable cause was our threshold. We couldn't chase for probable cause. They rolled that back to reasonable suspicion, but only for violent felonies. And they added a few other crimes, like assault 1 and assault 2 and certain things like that. But they didn't add any, we still cannot chase for property crimes, stolen vehicles, burglaries. And that's what this community right now, I can tell you from April 1st to today, we have been getting hammered on crimes of burglaries, stolen cars, people running from us, and we can't do anything about it. So although we're thankful that got repealed back to a reasonable suspicion standard, there's still a lot of work to do with that, and it really doesn't benefit our community other than a violent felony, which did occur, over this last weekend. We could have pursued had necessary on something like that. But what we're seeing in general, we still our hands are pretty tied with our investigative skills on those when we're dealing with stolen cars and things of that nature. So, and then the final thing is there was no movement on repealing the juvenile laws. So right now, we're seeing a lot more property crimes, felony property crimes are being committed by juveniles. And we get handcuffed because, as you know, we have to record an interview. We can't even talk to a juvenile with parent consent. We have to call the defense line, and then they just clam up and don't talk. So that renders our investigation pretty much mute at that point. We better have probable cause to arrest them and deal with them. So we're hopeful that, in the next legislative session, we can get some movement forward on that. It's not to say that we can't arrest juveniles, but it's pretty tough to do. And when adults are getting juveniles to commit felony property crimes because they know they're not going to get in trouble, and we're seeing it. We're seeing it in Buckley. Two of our major property crimes in the last 2 weeks have been done by juveniles. And there was some serious damage to property and a lot of merchandise stolen. So that's pretty much what we're there. That's all I'll update. Does anybody have any questions on the public safety report, the numbers or anything like that?
No, but I was wondering if did you say that a lot of these robberies are adult organized and then committed by juveniles?
We're seeing a lot of juvenile, not robberies. Those are that a robbery would be a violent offense, but a property crime like a burglary, like a breaking and entering type of thing. A lot of times when we're getting these juveniles, we're finding out that a lot of them are being offered to do these crimes by adults, and so it's hard to prove, but we're assuming that's the nature of the beast right now and how they're dealing with it. So yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, and then also my public safety report, you saw that we just completed our first annual Citizens Academy. Mayor Burkett is a fine graduate of the class. I can go on and on. It was a huge success. We had nothing but positive feedback and comments from everybody that participated in it and people that want to take it again. So it was a blast to see my officers teach and instruct and get our community members involved. And I think it'll be a very successful thing moving forward, a relatively inexpensive thing for us to get community involvement and engagement, for them to see what we do. It was great. And so anybody that next year that wants to sign up, you'd really benefit from it. And then I think the last thing I have is I'll kind of plug our association, our law enforcement association. So Saturday night is our dinner auction. I just found out, I think there are a few tickets available. There's four tickets. So we're pretty much sold out. If you need them, get a hold of me and I can secure, we got 4. So I'm looking over there. So if anybody wants to attend, it's going to be it'll be a huge success. And this community is just amazing when it comes to the support of law enforcement and public safety in general. So it'll be another huge success for sure. Yeah. Okay. And that's all I have. So
Thanks, Kurt.
Perfect. Thank you, sir.
yeah.
What's your pleasure? Chief Scogan.
Okay, close enough? Okay. So in our quarterly packet, I shared our statistics and call volume as well, which was January 1st to March 31st. And over the years, it's just surprising to see how call volume increases. When many of us can remember, it seems like yesterday it was still an all volunteer department. When the siren blew, everyone dropped what they were doing and ran to the call. And that happened maybe one time a day. Our average is now about 4 calls a day. So 342 calls during the first quarter, which was an 18% increase over the same time period last year. In addition to calls, it's that time of year. We are still very proud to host our own internal Recruit Fire Academy. Runs January to June of every year. And, you know, people always ask us how are the volunteer numbers doing? And we always seem to hover right between 65 and about 80. Today, we're at about 70 members, but every year we lose up to 15 when we replace them with 15 more. So there is a huge benefit to doing our training in-house. They're being trained by our personnel using our equipment, and it's a huge cost savings. So that is in full swing. It's set for graduation on June 8th, and we will make sure that all council members get an invitation to that, mayor and city administrator as well. As I highlighted, we know it's a huge time commitment for the recruits. They're there every Monday night, Thursday night, 10-hour days every other Saturday for 5 months. But our volunteer firefighters are putting in that same time commitment to serve as instructors, pump operators, et cetera. That's all on top of regular drill, which is Wednesday nights, and responding to calls. So there's nearly something going on related to the department 7 days a week, just about. So huge kudos to all of our people that continue to put in the time to make it work. In addition to that, CPR and first aid classes, we had a record number of people trained during the first quarter, just shy of 60 people that we trained. And we are back to doing annual occupancy inspections. And the goal is to hit every commercial business in the city of Buckley. We are doing our absolute best. New construction, doing fire sprinkler inspections, hydro tests, kind of interferes with that. Right now, I'm currently the only certified inspector on the department. Probably remain that way for the next year, but it's good to be back out and be visible to the community in that aspect and make positive recommendations so that our business owners have a safe building. So speaking of call volume, just, you know, somewhat shared our stats. EMS is our bread and butter. It's why the fire service exists anymore. To be honest, nearly 80% of our calls are EMS related. We started the first of the year tracking overlapping calls or concurrent calls. And what that means is if we're dispatched to one fire EMS event, is there another one occurring? And we found that 26% of our calls, or 90 of them, or one a day, are coming into us when we already have another emergency occurring. And there's even a handful of times where we've had 3 incidents at the same time. We're starting to notice that results in a little bit of a response delay. Sometimes it puts a strain on resources. Myself and Assistant Chief Olson are still getting on a medic unit or an aid unit, taking people to the hospital when we need to, but these 2 and 3 calls at a time is starting to become more of a trend. And that's not unique to Buckley. Our neighbors are seeing the exact same thing. So the part that we're proud of with that is, we have very good relationships with our neighboring departments. We back them up, they back us up. Even though 90 of our calls occurred while we were assigned to another call, we only relied on our neighbors to help us out a total of 3 times last quarter, meaning we physically aren't able to take care of it. We need your help, compared to 98 times that we helped our neighbors out. So those are good numbers. We want to keep them that way. People always, even our own personnel, ask, well, it seems like we're helping everybody else out a lot. So as many of you are aware, we had a fatal house fire in Wilkeson here a few weeks ago. And, our mutual and automatic aid is extremely valuable. We never want to jeopardize that. When that house fire came in, we had 2 aid calls going on in the city. So without mutual and automatic aid being there, it would have been a longer response time. So response times for us, though, are still great. Just highlighting on the back page. So you'll see everything from Crystal Mountain Ski Patrol at 52 minutes and 8 seconds, all the way down to St. Elizabeth Hospital at 0 minutes, 0 seconds. These are all other locations that we responded to in the last quarter. So that's the time it takes Buckley Fire to get there. So in the city, when you call 911 right now, or during the first quarter, it was 5 minutes and 19 seconds. That is something to be extremely proud of, when really our benchmark is 9 minutes or less. So we always want to make sure that we're staying below 6 minutes. As long as I've been here, we've never been above it. So we want to keep that trend going. A couple other things that we are working on is we're researching other options for cost recovery regarding incident response. We're looking at some different models for how we provide EMS and what that might be able to provide to the city and benefits for our taxpayers. On May 2nd, I will be delivering a proclamation to the Pierce County Council for Wildfire Awareness Month. And if you've been on our social media, you've seen we're participating with some other East Pierce County departments on really promoting wildfire prevention. We want people to sign up to have their property receive a wildfire threat assessment. So that's a little bit about what next week's proclamation is about. So wrapping up with the time of year where we're doing all of our annual compliance testing. Last week, we had all of our fire hose, ground ladders, fire pumps tested. Very proud. We failed no sections of hose, no ladders. Buckley pumps all passed. Carbonator needs a little bit of help, so I'll be speaking before their council here soon. And then tomorrow, all of our self-contained breathing apparatus, masks, face piece, all that will be going through its annual service and compliance testing. So with that, are there any questions? Perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Judge Barry.
All right. Good evening. I apologize. We don't have fundraisers. We don't, we don't have all those exciting things with the court. I am a person who loves that kind of thing and loves to be involved in that kind of thing. Unfortunately, professionally, I can't with this position for obvious reasons that being fair and unbiased, a lot of that, removes your ability to support even my own kids' fundraisers and things like that. But I love to hear about them and support them in any way that I can ethically. And so I'm not going to talk about that. But I am going to talk a bit about what our little, very small but mighty group has been doing. And as you may have seen from the memo that I sent to the council, we were fortunate enough to participate in the Citizens Academy provided a training about, I know it doesn't sound glamorous, but due process, but I think some citizens learned a lot about things, especially in relation to the police officers. And then we had the public defender and the prosecutor present for the second half of the presentation. So got as many people involved as could, even though we're all separate entities, and our jobs overlap in a very interesting extent, although we are separate. And so that was a really unique opportunity for me personally to be able to speak with citizens. And so I appreciated that and hope to be involved with that again. And I wrote a little bit more about that. And if you're dying to know more about due process, you just let me know, and love to talk about things I think are exciting, but that's why I do what I do. And I want to talk a little bit about what is ultimately important, which we deal a lot with the public, and we're talking about efficiency, and we're talking about respect, and we're talking about communication. And so those things on multiple different levels are important along the lines of efficiency. When we go to electronic invoicing, and we've turned over our ancient warrant machines so that we can print regular paper warrants and things that don't sound very exciting, but for us they are, because it's a cost savings. It's also more efficient, more practical to forward to other entities and be able to, which is important, because as most of you are probably aware, we don't start any of the stuff that we deal with, right? It starts somewhere else with the police, and then comes to the prosecutor, and then ends up on our plate. And so then communicating back when there's certain issues is really important, of how we can translate very important information, because although it's just paper, a warrant to a person who has a warrant, or a warrant to the police officer who wants to serve it, becomes incredibly important to those two individuals. And so something like how that process is, and also invoicing with the importance of efficient processing of bills and pay. I'm going to jump ahead just to some stats in regards to warrants, just to mention a little bit about that. Is I think most people do know that if you don't show up for court and it was a necessary hearing, then you can have a warrant. And so we get cases that are started and they're given to us, and then if they don't show up, they're back onto the police plate. And so that's why this communication and opportunities to cross over and effectively communicate become incredibly important. And so one of the things we've done regularly and really seen substantial positive response to is staff and stakeholders meetings, where we're getting together with the prosecution side, the defense side, and our staff to ultimately find out everybody's opinions on the efficiency of the process, and coming from obviously the two different parties that are butt heads, then to come and say, what areas do we not have to butt heads on? Because although that's their job to be in court and fight for things, that's not their job to make the process inefficient, or to delay a citizen's processing, or to be disrespectful, or to not have this be an environment, while stressful to the individual, also well understood, explained, et cetera. And so I see that as our role, is to make sure these parties can talk and feel free to talk. And ultimately, although I'll make the decision about how the process will look, I'm very much kind of, the benevolent dictator, just like in my home. I really like to know how people feel about it. And if I have to make a tough decision that people don't like, I prefer not to, I will, but I prefer not to if we can all come together and decide on process and procedure that everyone can get behind. And we've seen a lot of progress and communication, and also just rudimentary things like safety. But when we're talking about the courthouse, and the people who are coming to the courthouse who aren't always happy to be there, and some are in crisis and may not make the choice that we would prefer that they make. We want to know how we keep ourselves safe and any other community members safe that are present in the courtroom. And so, and I mentioned a bit about that. Mentioned some things that I know are important in regards to collection referrals, and some updates with the legislature, and just to help understand, first of all, the numbers of cases we're processing, second of all, how the money flows in and out and when we can write it off, and also how warrants work, just as an overview of how we interrelate with the different from billing to police to the different agencies that we work with. And then in focusing on the public, one thing that I've taken as a personal goal is how can we improve our respect and communication with the public? Because a lot of people are coming through the court system who haven't been in the court system before. And sometimes that's their only visit in the court system, but they come in and they're very nervous and very upset that they've possibly made a huge mistake in life. And now they have to publicly atone, so to speak. And so some of the things that can impact that are people that perhaps haven't had breakfast or don't have the skills to know how to organize their lives. And so little things like offering food or drink, which we started our food and folders program so that if they want to have a granola bar or a snack before they have their hearing or water. We also, folders are a simple thing that a lot of us have, and we probably have a million at home. In fact, I have ones I don't use and because I don't like the color anymore, but some people have never even thought about putting their paperwork in a folder. And when that is suggested to them, oh, that would really help me keep my court paperwork together. So it's taking down to some basic things that seem simple, but aren't always easy if you haven't been taught that. And so hopefully making the citizens being processed to the court feel respected and their needs are somewhat being addressed as best we can, and looking for other ways to do that. And so that's the overview of, I'm sure there were some things that I missed, but overall it shall all be covered in the memo. Any comments or questions for me?
Anything? Oh, super. Thank you. Thank you for all the updates. City administrators update.
Just one update this evening. We, over the last couple of months, we've heard multiple reports of concerns regarding timelines for current planning. Specifically over the last couple of weeks, we have been diligently working in the planning department to figure out ways that we can essentially stretch our very limited staff the best that we can. And one of those sacrifices at this time is we have decided to put long-range planning projects on hold temporarily. We have one person in that department currently, our planning director, Emily, and she is working on current planning as well as now, thanks to what you approved this evening, the on-call planning services contract with SCJ Alliance, taking a lot of those current planning projects also to that new contractor for services. And then last council meeting, you also approved the position for senior planner, which we are actively recruiting for. So we've acknowledged that we are needing to reprioritize a bit. We've also canceled the 2 planning commission meetings, which are primarily focused on long-range planning activities for this next month. And we hope to pick those up as soon as we can once we have some of the current planning projects moving. To the best of my knowledge, we do not currently have any legal deadlines that we've missed, but we're close on a few. So we're keeping a very close eye on that to make sure that we're increasing our permit efficiency to the best of our ability. One other thing, Zach from the facilitator for the city council goals meeting, he will be here on May 2nd to revisit that draft report and continue that discussion. So he was able to join us, which is exciting. And that's all I have tonight. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Thank you. Question? Oh, no, go ahead.
BDA would like to speak under citizen participation.
Okay. All right, well, we will start with them. Amy, I'm gonna guess. Go ahead with, from the BDA, go ahead.
Hello, Mayor, this is Amy Boucher. I just wanted to chime in on what Matt said about our awesome event that we did this Saturday, and kind of aligns with what you guys were talking about as far as, looking for more volunteer groups. As far as getting processes in place, I will have to say, sometimes it's not as easy when we offer the help on multiple occasions. BDA we're here, we're trying to get involved and be of service and help the city, because what I keep hearing over and over is that, the resource in this with staff and funding is a real problem. And so how can we help support the city while we're also carrying out our mission to revitalize downtown and create community gathering spaces and, beautify the entrance of our Main Street corridor. And so, we have some upcoming events and more opportunities that, people, there's not a shortage of people wanting to help and volunteer. It's a matter of coordination and then also, getting support of the city to help with that process to get it done in a timely manner. Sometimes we get volunteer opportunities at, 2 to 3 weeks, maybe a month in advance. And I hate to turn away somebody saying, hey, we'll come in with volunteers and resources and even donate some money. I'm not going to turn that person away. There's no way. And so I think being able to continue to work with staff, I know that's one of my my goals and can sometimes be a challenge when I'm trying to, when we have those opportunities, I see them and I try to take them. And so I'm hoping, I guess I'm just sharing and want to give this public comment time to share that, there's definitely not a shortage of volunteers. It's a matter of coordination and personally have experienced some of the difficulty of navigating through the process sometimes. So with that, I know we're going to be doing a second round of roadie work down at Main Street at 410. It would be really awesome. We're hoping to maybe do another one next month with the clearance of Erin, if she's okay with that. We also, we don't really need any staff support other than we can make a pile for Leon to come pick up. But we have some dedicated volunteers that are willing to come back and clean that area up. And we actually had a park maintenance horticultural manager now with Point Defiance Park with Metro Parks Tacoma. And, he gave some consulting ideas for a really beautiful pocket park there. Who knows, maybe even a little rhododendron garden that, clean up those memorials and put it on a wall. Again, these are things that BDA can definitely, as it's connected to the downtown corridor. We can pull that under our radar, but definitely building those partnerships with the city, whether it's through MOUs, et cetera. It's going to be something we're going to really have to work diligently on in order to take advantage of these opportunities that are coming our way. Thank you for letting me share.
Okay, thanks, Amy. All right. I just want to catch you again, Council Member Sundstrom, if you can hear me. I didn't know if you had anything you'd like to add this evening before we close out this evening. Any other citizen participation? I know we've got some new fellers sitting back there. And if you'd like to speak, we encourage you to come up and state your name and.
Next time.
Okay. All right. Okay, well, I guess we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thanks, council.
Oh, no.